Well, it felt very much like a blood and thunder cup tie to me. The first period of the Orlando took control of some decent portions of the game. There were one or two things that we didn't quite get to grips with early on in the game. Having said that, I thought the very best chance in that first period was Sam's opportunity to put us into the lead, probably against the run of play. But the second period looked much more like a Nashville group. There was a more positive and competitive approach to the game, and a couple of opportunities that we really should have got ourselves back in the game. And when I look back at the stats, which of course are important, there's a couple that jump out of the page. They have 5 shots on goal. We had 3. Their expected goals was 1.18 and ours was 1.2. They've managed to squeeze a goal out of those opportunities, and a very, very good strike in the end it was. And it's proved to be the difference. Unfortunately, we found ourselves on the receiving end again of a blank slate, and that's obviously got to be corrected in game 2.
Thank you, Coach. We are going to open the floor for questions. Please alert me through the chat that you have a question for Coach. We're gonna start with Claudio Villalobos.
Gary, you stated very well that once again Nashville comes out on the weak side of the equation here, even though the game was pretty even. For you, their opportunity. How to do something different, because Nashville might very well come and win the game in Nashville. It wouldn't be a surprise, to be honest with you. But then how do you go back to Orlando actually and say, well, this time we need to do to beat this team twice?
Yeah. Well, look, I think that's why you've seen an Orlando side who are in fantastic form. They are one of the form teams of MLS going into this postseason. But you've still seen them jumping up and down as if they've won the World Cup, because what they realise is they've taken a very good step towards completing this tie against a team that they know is going to be really, really tough to play against. I wonder if physically or otherwise they've been tested. They've certainly not been in the sort of scrap that they've been in tonight for a long time, I wouldn't imagine. So, out of defeat, there's definitely some things we can take away from it. There's certainly no fear in the game going back to Nashville. Our main focus, of course, is trying to hit the back of the net more often. Is it a case of creating more? I would actually say it's probably more a case of being more clinical in those vital moments. Because against good sides, you're not going to be creating a hat full of chances. They had 25 shots. A lot of them were from outside of the box, and whilst, there'll be a lot of oohs and ahs in the crowd, if a body's getting in the way of it and they're not working a good angle, then quite frankly, it's really a number and a stat on the page. The big ones are the ones on target. Opportunities, clear-cut opportunities, and of course the expected goals, which was so tight. And in fact, we just edged it. So a wonderful save from Galasi when it was deflected. A very clear opportunity to go in front. And in these games, vital. Absolutely vital. I can't stress that enough. Because I think we've seen now on 2 occasions, they've edged in front and have done a great job of seeing it out. I have no reason to believe, if we can put ourselves in that position, that we wouldn't do likewise. So, very, very tight tie. Loads and loads to still play for. And just in brief, to answer your question, Claudio, I think if we come back here again, there'll be a much different emotion attached to it for both teams, knowing that it's do or die.
Hey, Gary, this match played out somewhat similar to the Orlando match you had at Geodis Park a few weeks ago. in both those matches, but specifically tonight, do you think Orlando did enough to earn the win, or do you feel like your side might have allowed them a little bit of those points?
Well, I think we have to say when somebody scores a goal of the caliber that they have, that, you know, that in itself is worthy of winning a game. It was a wonderful strike, and whilst I'm on the receiving end of it, I can still be gracious enough to say that it's a high caliber finish. There were moments that I think we were all a tad disturbed in the first half at the sort of pressure they could build and the pockets that were opening up, and that was corrected at halftime. Sadly, the goal came out of an absolute crackerjack of a finish and not from a moment that picked us apart. So, look, I'm bitterly disappointed, of course. I don't think the game was squandered in any way. I thought we did a very good job of trying to recover the game. And as I've stated before, the only numbers that I can draw on that we have done in previous games is that we've actually created enough to have seen the game to penalties. I'm not saying we did well enough to win it. Who knows if we'd have scored first? But the numbers are telling us, and I think our performance told us, that we deserved a little bit more than that 1-0 defeat. And I think that burning desire going into game 2 may well be enough just to see us over the edge and get us a third game here, which will be a humdinger, I'm sure.
Ben Wright.
Yeah, Gary, I guess it feels like maybe there are kind of two ways to look at this game. Like on one hand, you went to a really difficult Orlando team, lost thanks to like you said, a world-class goal, and created a couple of chances that you could have easily drawn or won. On the other hand, 2 really good chances that you'd like to think that your forwards finish, and it feels like, again, finishing has been an issue. I mean, I know we've asked this a lot, but how do you, on a short turnaround, when can you expect that those types of goals, those types of chances are going to get finished off?
Confidence, as I've said so many times, Ben, is a huge factor for forwards. They're playing Orlando themselves with the confidence that oozes out of every pore. And what you've seen is an unbelievable finish. And I bet you when the lad struck it, he thought to himself, I'm going to score. At the moment, I don't know if there's that same belief in our guys. What we can do is just keep reinforcing the strengths of our game, the situations we're getting into, the belief that this group have that they can certainly keep themselves in this tie, in this series. And if we can turn this second game into a victory, maybe the momentum will just shift our way and we'll give ourselves the sort of lift we need. Because, as I said early on in this chat, we're not going to go out of this series with a lack of effort, passion or spirit. It will mainly be because maybe we've not quite been clinical enough. But let's be sure on this. We're not going to create a hat full of goals or goal scoring opportunities more. We're not. This side's too good for that. We're not going to have 10 clear-cut chances to give ourselves that opportunity. Somewhere, some way, somebody's got to hit the back of the net. And if we can do it first, I think you'll see a team that's inspired and galvanised. And we'll give ourselves a great chance. But certainly right now, it seems as though it's a little way away. But it's amazing how football changes. And the biggest component in all of that is belief. As long as there's belief, and I still see that in the eyes of the players, we've got a chance, for sure.
Jacob James.
Yeah, Gary, obviously Sam with that great chance in the 20th minute. I guess what was your message to him after this game? I guess what do you tell him to, I guess, maybe keep his confidence up or, encourage him in some way?
Well, look, I thought there was a renewed vigor and an effort in everyone's play in the second half. There was some difficulties, I've said, just to make sure that their pressure and their energy didn't put them in a good place. And in fairness, we kept ourselves in a position where the game was still challenging. We still had an opportunity. The fight was still on. But as far as Sam's concerned, he's a talented boy. He's getting into good areas. He's giving himself a chance. He keeps turning up. And I do believe, as he does, that we will put ourselves in a position where we can get in front, and hopefully it's Sam that scores it. If not, hopefully it's Hanny that scores it. It was an incredible strike not long after Orlando's score that, is what? Half an inch away from being a world-class goal himself. The lines are fine in tight playoff games. Today we've fallen on the wrong side of it. Belief and spirit will get us where we want to go.
Back to Ben Wright for one final question.
Yeah, we saw Dax on the bench, but not used. I think Tony on the broadcast said that he picked up an ankle issue yesterday. I guess two parts. Do you expect him to be available for the next leg? And when he's not available, I know you have several midfielders who you can use, but maybe none who kind of bring the same type of passing options that he does. How do you kind of work out your midfield to be able to create chances going forward without him?
Well, first and foremost, yes, the broadcasts were right. Dax had a minor issue in training yesterday that, given probably 24 or 48 hours, he would have been fit and available to play. He was still very, very keen, I might add, to be out there tonight. It was my decision and choice, A, not to put him at risk, where we would lose him for game 2 in unforeseen circumstances, and possibly limit what I was able to do from the bench. I've got to add, he was bitterly disappointed, and you may well understand it. To the second part of your question, I think Dax's ability, vision, and experience on the ball is a miss. There's no doubt about it. Annabelle has got very similar qualities, but if we look at maybe some of the needs and necessities tonight, we saw a lot of those in Sean's performance and have done as well in the last couple of games. No lack of fight and as I've said, spirit for the group. But they're slightly different players. And to your point, Ben, it's well noticed. So, yes, he will be available, all things being equal. There shouldn't be any reason why he's not at this point. I would have maybe put it at 85 and 90% ready tonight, and it was solely my choice not to go that way through risk.
I think clearly it's a disappointing result. It's a tough place to play here, but we've gotten results here in the past. And I think that being able to come back to Geodis and have the opportunity, unlike other years, to get that second chance, I think that's really going to help us. And I think that being able to, really get that first goal and stay on top of things helps us, as we know, through the season so much. So, I've been in the locker room for the last 10, 15 minutes. We're very optimistic. And I think that having that second opportunity that in the years past we didn't have is something that we're looking forward to, and looking forward to the opportunity to play these guys again back at Geodis, back in front of our amazing fans, and looking to get a result and bring it back here.
We're going to open the floor for questions. We're going to kick it off with Claudio Villalobos. Claudio.
Jack, from outside looking in, it looks like this was a missed opportunity for Nashville. Even though Orlando played a very well game, it's a very good team. It seems like with the quality of opportunities that you guys have, not many, but very, very good ones, this was a game that you could have as well taken. Is that was that the feeling in the pitch?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we had good opportunities, and I mean, we got to give credit to the guy that ended up scoring their goal. It was an unbelievable hit, one that I don't think he's going to do too often. But yeah, it's a missed opportunity, one that we know having the second opportunity to come back, hopefully, well, definitely at Geodis, and then come back here. We're optimistic that we're going to get it. We're going to advance to this tournament.
Hey, Jack, how frustrating is it to know that most games you are, especially the games you've been losing lately, you're pretty much a goal or two away, and it seems like defensively you are very, very good, and it's just that one goal going forward, you keep missing game after game. How frustrating is that as a defender?
It's a great question. It's one that I, though, look at as, why are we not creating more opportunities? It starts with the back line, though. How can we get guys like Hani, guys like Sam? We only had, I don't know the exact stats, but like probably 3 or 4 shots on goal. How can we make that 6? How can we make that 5? And it starts with the guys at the back. And just like our forwards, like, defend their butts off for us to help us keep the goal intact, we have to find opportunities to get the ball to these guys in more dangerous positions. And I take that head on. I really don't think it's offense versus defense here. I think that as a team, collectively, we have the individuals. Now we just really got to piece it together. And it starts with Joe on our back line.
Ben Wright.
Yeah, Jack. I asked Gary a similar question. I think you can kind of look at it in 2 ways. On one hand, you went to Orlando, who are a really good home team, and lost basically to a world-class goal. On the other hand, you created 2 chances that on most days you would expect to score. So I'm just kind of curious, how do you look at this game? And knowing that you have a quick turnaround, you're going to play them again at least once, hopefully twice. How do you take what you've seen tonight and build on that to be able to get a result?
I think you're probably not going to like this answer, but it's a little bit of both. It's on one side, the guy hits an absolute screamer, and that's always disappointing, especially losing 1-0. We like our chances in PK shootouts, as we have seen through Leagues Cup. And on the other side, we like the opportunities that we created. We created 2 very good opportunities, and our goal is, how can we make that 4? And I think playing at Geodis is really going to help us out, whether it's the fan noise, just the familiarity with the environment. I think that all these little things are factors that go into a good result.